you know, healing abilities. So I'm here for it. And again, I know that it is a solid pick when it comes to comp, and it just always like makes me chuckle a little bit, I suppose. I'm a little bit too fun and gun, I think, sometimes. I really want people to just get stuck in and just have at it, to be honest. But obviously, because of the abilities within Valorant, there is going to be a lot more patience involved and a lot more kind of analytical thinking behind it, which I do appreciate that. So it's just such a good game.
All right, well, let's settle into this first game and see what the teams have got for us. So we've got Xset on defense. Crazy's going to try to hold the site. We'll see if they can manage it, and they do on the Omen, getting themselves the first kill, but they are almost down. Giuliano is there with the support to buy a little bit more time for reinforcements to arrive.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's been very, I won't say militant, but very cut and dry start to that, really, where it was like, obviously, you know, Reaper kind of pushing in like that. It was to allow the opening for her team, but it was ultimately immediately shut down. And I'm gonna say that's how I like it. That's what I want to see.
Well, we've got ourselves a very bloody exchange as
30
Ness
seconds left.
will find themselves some good early success, but I'm gonna have to make a Zizzo. Okay, there we go. That's my best guess on how to say that name. Nice pick up there on the Reyna.
Yep, the spike has gone down. So, you know, it is a 3v2 with spike down. I mean, in theory it's a little bit risky because you do have the slight disadvantage, but you just gotta hold these angles here, and oh, but you can't hold it like that, though. Vizo is going to get the pick onto Reynissa, and Petra is going to shut down Nariel, and that spike can be defused. Round 1.
Yeah, very solid showing there. Little monuments to that first round at the end there as well. I mean, it looked relatively even. Now coming into the second round, it actually looks like Xset might be... Okay, yes, they are going to go for the SMGs. They're going to try and extend this early lead.
I think the thing I'm finding the most interesting is genuinely how do I explain it? You know how in comp it's like, okay, we'll do, like, this is the exact plan A, B, C.
Sure.
It's very feeling like that. It's feeling very structured from both sides. To the point where I think this is just going to be a game of good old-fashioned Valorant, to be honest. I don't think it's going to be anything too out there. But at the same time, there's a lot that can be done here by the IGLs in terms of shot calling and, you know, reacting to what's happening. Especially when it's so by the book, you can almost predict things a lot more easier.
Oh, I get what you mean. I mean, you know, this is certainly going to be a very different story than the first one. As we were talking about, you know, these are two teams who got the potential to make it all the way through the competition. Last time round, they perhaps end up a little unfortunate, but Oxygen, they managed to get that first pick up here, looking to try and get the round back. We've got a little bit of a scramble here after that first kill onto Xset.
But again, like, this is, I kind of, you know, you've seen these rotations come through as well. It's so by the book, and
30 seconds
even though they're
left.
doing that, Petra was ready and waiting for them. Yes, she fell, but she was still ready and waiting for them. And it's little things like that that I think, again, we're going to see a lot of it. We're going to see these, like, quick reactive plays coming through on both sides. And there we are. The spike is down. The majority is, like, players taking what's going to happen. And Felipe is just going to pistol whip down Giuliano and Nini, winning that out. A flawless round for Oxygen.
Wow, that is ridiculous. You see there, yeah, Ness picking up the full 3 kills in the last round, but 2 for Retha and Felipe as well. He said, you know, it's kind of rare to see that happen quite as dramatically. Oxygen, though, they fight back hard.
Absolutely, you know, they're building for this really perfect you know, setup, and then they collapse in. And if they find that collapse is stopped, then they immediately kind of rotate. It's so by the book. But again, like, this is why we are seeing the defenders react the way they do. We're seeing these immediate reactions. And I mean, this is good. I think this is going to be a close one, to be honest, Counterfeit.
Yeah, we're certainly looking like it, though. Oxygen, they have got to try and salvage this round because they're full of the pieces right now. Ness is making a mess, but Giuliano picks up 2 to salvage the round. It's still 1 versus 3. Turret will absorb some of the shots from the Sheriff around the corner, and this time round, Giuliano wins the duel.
Close, but no cigar. Admirable attempt, though. To be honest, admirable attempt. Again, like I wouldn't be too shocked if Xset get like their second round. Now we're about to go into it, and I think if Xset pick this up again, I think it will be a very like 1-by-1 trade by trade kind of match. Just based on the way that everyone's playing. I mean, okay, I say that, but it looks like the case that's kind of changing it slightly now. We're seeing a little bit of a split push come through because I think they want to confuse. But again, it's still very by the book. It's nothing too razzle-dazzle-y.
We need some more razzle-dazzle in our quarterfinals. We were spoiled, honestly, by our first game, which was full of absolute madness. But you're right, though, for Xset, we need to see them pull back even here. We knew coming into this one, these teams have very similar records from the previous tournament. It seems like the tournament system's working here. We've got ourselves a very close matchup indeed.
Yeah, absolutely, we do. And obviously, there is a bit of caution being used here by the attackers, but they have a load of time to do it. And I mean, this is the thing, people often they try and look at the clock too much. It's like, well, realistically, if it's 1 minute on the clock, I think you do have enough time to set up the execute. So, and which is exactly what we're seeing now. They are piling in. That execute's coming through. The spike's being taken to site. They've got entire control. The plant can go down. There is a flank coming through. However, it does look like Giuliano is making her way slowly but surely, and this could cause some serious carnage, especially if that spike is planted, which again, they're taking a bit of time to actually get the spike down, but I think they just want to get to a safer spot. But as I say, Giuliano about to flank round, and this could cause some serious issues. Well, I say that, but it's now a 2v3, and planted. Giuliano and Mimi left in this situation on either side. They can go for a nice pinch. There we go. Mimi gets 1 onto Ness. Can they find the others though?
Yeah, the health bars, it's 3v2, but the health bars aren't looking great for Oxygen. You can see we've got the defenders coming back out of heaven onto the site itself. Oxygen, they get the trade back, and it's Nariel finishing off the job there for Oxygen, who will now take themselves a substantial lead, up 3-1.
I mean, again, I understand that they wanted to team up then, up in heaven to try and give them a bit more of a ability to be there for the refrag and things like that, but I think the pinch that they could have done had Giuliano have kept to the south a bit more, like it would have. I think that could have potentially been a little bit more fluid. And yeah, it's a little bit risky biscuits, but if you've got the utility there to do it, then absolutely go for it.
So coming into this round, Oxygen, they've got themselves fully equipped. For the defenders exit here, they're going to have to make do with just pistols, so they're stacking themselves up towards mid, hoping to maybe catch a member of Oxygen unawares.
Unawares, I think they are aware.
No!
Ooh, Ness with the 2K. 1 enemy remaining. 3K.
Oh,
that was a lot. That was a lot.
It was a lot. Oh my gosh. Well, no mercy, relentless in their fury are Oxxgen Esports. We said before, they've tasted success before. They want to get back previous tournament winners in April. They're not messing around, but we're going into a full Vandal round here, Grace.
I mean, I will say as well, with your Reina players, you really want them to be the most, I think, aggressive players possible, and we definitely saw that just now with Ness, and that's exactly how Reina should be played, to be honest. I mean, yeah, so far Oxygen looking very, very, very strong.
Big trades there, trying to keep the approach to the B site clear. For Oxygen, it looks like they're going to be spreading themselves a little bit more. Keep your eyes out, of course, onto number 7, the Reina. Who's looking to sneak through into mid. That's Ness, we've been seeing doing so well so far.
There.
Looks to be that the
Careful here.
Exit are actually abandoning most of the defenses on the A site entirely.
Here.
Which is interesting, because again, Oxygen haven't really pushed A at all, and I think that call maybe was a bit premature, to be honest. Again, if Oxygen knew then, they easily could have rushed B, because it got left very, very almost undefended, to be honest, at times. Could have easily rushed for Cypher, done a 2v1, and then pushed from mid as well with the pinch.
Huntress Esports. I'm gonna definitely have to adapt that phrase to my own use. Oxxgen Esports, though, they are wanting to get all of the biscuits now as they take down Petra and Crazy at the same time, managing to recover from dropping the early kill. Juliana a little too quick. It's the Oxygen squad as they take round 5. Quick and decisive stuff.
I think Exet might be overthinking. Like, legitimately, I think they might be overthinking. Again, we're seeing, you were seeing a lot of patience come from Oxygen. They're really taking their time to set up for the execute here, and I think that Exet are being way too reactive when, in reality, yes, nothing's happening, but that doesn't mean that you should all rotate, you know, towards somewhere else.
This goes here.
You should wait for that immediate intel, legitimate intel, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, except they've got the cipher, you know, to
they
be able
do,
to get that
which
kind
is
of
why
information.
it makes it even more confusing. That, you know, we saw a bit of, you know, that rotate come through in the early round last time, but again, maybe they saw an ability and they just assumed that this push was coming through, because, well, as we can see here, they're very good at stacking up together and pushing in and getting the map control. But Mimi for now is going to say, no thank you, ma'am, we're not letting you take the control that you've been doing, you know, a few of these rounds so far. Every time they push A, they get control so easily, and this time Zizio is also going to help shut it down too, so the galley doing work.
All right, so this could be comeback central for Exet. Down to 2 members are Oxygen, who look like they may be in trouble here. The spike has been dropped, but as we see, Oxygen and the 2 remaining members are not even trying the spike. Here comes the showstopper, but it only manages to trade the kill. Down to Rainsa as the last one standing. We've got 38 seconds left on the clock. Again, no attempt to be made to get back the spike as of yet.
30 seconds
Naren
left.
Rainsa's going to get one of them, so, you know, whittling it down slowly but surely. A 1v2 situation. She does have a lot of utility in her pocket. I believe, you know, her ult is up as well if she wants to use it, but perhaps... Oh, well, there we go. He was going to actually just shut it down anyway. No, what I was going to say was actually there was a, you know, fair play to them. They were trapped at the very back of the map in probably not a great position. And it's when you see the nice communication between players where they chose to push together. And because of that, it's like, yeah, you do manage to get that initial pick because, you know, someone's there for the refrag and that player can only focus on one person. And it's little things like that that I like to pick up on sometimes with players and teams, because it's like, okay, yeah, they are actually communicate. That's like a sign of really good communication and really good teamwork. Regardless of how the rest of the round goes.
Well, I mean, you're talking about, you know, the support staff and things for the teams, you know, with the orgs behind them. You know, that feels like that's where that really comes through the most clearly, when you've got the, you know, the lines of communication being so clear, the trust between the teammates to know that they'll have each other's backs and they can execute on these more complex plays.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's again with Valorant, it's really interesting to me. I think out of all the different esports titles, I think Valorant, in my opinion, has the best women's scene, to be honest. Like, I think that there's so much, there's very, very obvious signs of a lot of very hard work and dedication, and also just like the level of like ability as well is just so high. And it makes me really happy to watch, actually. And I think every time I've done the Huntress trials or watched the Huntress trials, it does genuinely make me so excited and get that little giddy feeling, to be honest. I get very emotionally invested though too at the same time, so
that's good. I don't think that's not remotely a bad thing. I think you're absolutely right. Like, it's a wonderful thing to see, you know, the time, effort, energy, you know, be put in and paid off. I mean, that's what we've had from the very beginning of the tournament. We've seen some fantastic play from the opening rounds, and it hasn't slowed down at all here in the quarterfinals. Of course, tomorrow we have the semifinals and the grand finals, so it's only going to keep on getting better.
I just want to point out this absolute bait. They ulted on A only to flood B with the spike. And Spike is presumably going to go... That... fair play, yes. Okay, that deserves a clap. Like... I love it. I love to see it. Pour it into my eyeballs.
Yeah, and as well, Oxxgen not only managed to pull off a Omega Bamboozle, but they're also picking up Xset members as they try and come back in to do something about this play.
The absolute bait at Switch. Mimi going on an absolute walk to try and do something, but I mean, it looks like she might just be taking a tactical timeout now. Giuliano still trying to find her little kills where she can, but... Mimi gets one, but oh no, shut down by Nariel. It's all left down to this Giuliano, but ultimately there's not a lot you can do, and Spike is down like that, and that was a very, very clever play coming through there from the attackers. Like, Reynesa just going onto A site, ulting. Of course, what would you think if that was happening, especially when it's a Viper ult? You are going to be like, okay, they're rushing again, and they're going to get the plant down with all this coverage and blah 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 blah, and you do all stampede there, and it just leaves B wide open for the rest of them. Glorious. And this is what I'm excited. I'm so excited by that. Whew.
It seems like for Oxxgen, they were kind of gambling perhaps that the B site wouldn't be expected to be aggressed onto straight away, but from Xset, they committed in 4 members onto the B side. They didn't want to get caught out in the same way, but Oxxgen, they're doing exactly what they did before. It didn't work out over on the B side, so immediately they're piling onto the A side, and there's no one there to stop them at all.
They're just doing it. It's the old bait and switch, and it's working so well for them every time. It really is, and I can't get over how smart it is, and this is kind of what I mean, where it's like, yeah, good old-fashioned like Valorant, because they are playing at a very, very high tier play here. Spike has gone down as well, so again, it's now a retake situation for Xset. Time being, you know, the 6th attacker, as I've said previously, they really have to work quickly and efficiently now.
So we have got the Rolling Thunder. Nice use of the ult from Xset to try and open up some space, knowing where Oxxgen are. That's 3 kills coming in. Xset may have managed to reset the game here.
There's no way!
Okay, I thought for a second there might be a way, but no. Racer goes down. Oxxgen trade the round back again, so we head into round 10 with not as big of a gap as we could have had.
I mean, we love to see the retake. We really do. Like, I think fair play there. Again, especially considering how these attacks are coming through from Oxxgen, how coherent they're being with it. It's just, yeah. As the kids say these days, poggies.
Well, coming into this round, we've got 3 ults for the Xset squad. They look to try and even things up heading towards the end of this first half. Oxxgen, we've been praising them multiple times already for their map movement. Xset, they've got to be starting to get a sense of what Oxxgen are up to now, though.
Yeah, and this is exactly it. You know, when people are playing, it's very, very good Valorant, but it is also very by the book Valorant, very proper Valorant. So of course it's easier to counter strat if you have the knowledge there. So yeah, this is, again, it is just good old-fashioned Valorant, and I'm just excited for how this map's going to go, to be honest, and the second map, because I know obviously it's 3-6 right now, but it genuinely, I mean this in my heart of hearts, it can go either way.
We've got Giuliano from the Xset squad going to have to face down the entirety of Oxxgen Esports as they come past. Giuliano gets one, can't quite land the second, does buy time. Zizo to come in and bring us back even. There's one of those ults which Xset brought into the round to put us back to 4v4, but the plant is good.
Yep, spike planted, so, you know, technically a 4v5, well, make that a 4v4, as time is now the 4th attacker. Mimi and Nariel trading out players on both sides. Whittling down the players of Xset more and more. There's not a lot they can do. They really need to go for this retake. They need to get that control, and they need to get the defuse down.
Rainsa grabs 3, grabs 4! Oxxgen Esports, they are not messing around here in this first game. They move pretty consistently ahead. We're going to be coming into this round looking very, very strong indeed with 2 ults to 1.
I just, we said this would be a barn burner. I do think this is. I feel spoiled slightly, to be honest, because again, it's. I'd say at the same time it's really interesting because you know how before we were talking about how we don't think these two teams would relatively be saving strats or anything like that. We think they're going to be playing it all out and like properly and to the book, by the book, and that's exactly what's happening. And we're going for another timeout here, so both teams having their timeouts used now. Again, not sure why that might have occurred, but
well, while we're waiting, something that jumps out at me from the scoreboard race is, from Oxxgen Esports, we've got 3 members with 10 kills so far.
Well, so that's like a perfect one KPR basically for 3 members, a perfect positive KPR. And again, it's not just saying they're carried by one player. It's like they are actually consistently good as a team. That's a really strong backbone to have there. Absolutely.
It's wild to think that there's 3 members of Oxxgen who literally got a kill in every single round so far, or at least as many kills as there are rounds, since we've had some multi-kills as well. Except, let's see if they can get caught off as we get to see the one place that we haven't really seen Oxxgen push through so far is mid.
Yeah, which is interesting, and so far Petra's picked up a nice little 2k, make that a 3k, to be honest, so perhaps mid isn't the play for them. It's Petra's mid. Sorry, Oxxgen, it's Petra's mid. You're not having
We're just
any
living
of
in
that.
it.
Yeah. So yeah, they are going to do a little rotate and try and push B now. Obviously only Zizo currently covering B. I mean, we've got some players moving closer and closer to heaven, so could easily come in. The cavalry can easily charge in if they need to, but Oxxgen really need to go for this execute. They need to work out what they're doing, what utility they're using, and it looks like they're going for it. Reaper's going to start immediately getting stuck in. Zizo will be giving that intel to her teammates though, and there we go, pick from heaven as Mimi takes down Renessa.
And I was waiting to see the Viper wall come up and cut the fight off, but no. Rita with the spike has to make a decision, and that decision's been taken away from them. This is Petra's round. 4 kills, defend the mid, defends the B. They are the guardian at the gate for Xset.
Absolutely, and yeah, I think that was quite promising as well. Petra's being like, "This is my mid," and yeah, really, really good teamwork there coming through from Xset as well, especially late round then. Preventing that final attempt at an execute from Oxxgen. So ever closing more and more towards Oxxgen. But I did say that I reckon Oxxgen they have chosen to start where they wanted to start. Because if they can get as many rounds in on attack as possible, I think their defense is going to be pretty sweaty, especially if their attack is anything to go by.
Welcome to my world.
He is about to receive a whole world of poison going in and falls victim to Rita. Oxxgen Esports, they're fighting back here though. We have got the ult to come through. It won't manage to kill anybody because Xset, they're not actually on the point anymore.
No, and again, Oxxgen is just so good at causing that chaos by being like, yeah, you leave the site, leave this open for us, and we'll take that opportunity. And there we go, their 8th round in the bag as well. So, it is going to switch over now, the old switcheroo. But as I say, Oxxgen choosing to start an attack, that again, it just indicates so much to me. That does, it really does. It indicates that they are so sure of their defense now, and I think they're going to try and clean it up. But one thing I am curious about is if Xset are going to try and play Oxxgen at their own game here. If we're going to see some glorious baits come through, what do you reckon about that?
I think you've got to at this point. I mean, it's worked so spectacularly well for Oxygen. It's. I think it's really sort of exemplifying why you, on the attacking side, you've just got those extra options to bait out. It was high stakes from Oxygen before. They cashed in ultimates to make their bluff plays, but in each of those cases, it did work out pretty darn well.
Toxin screen down.
Absolutely.
Poison's
And oh wait, we're seeing a little bit of a push up mid as well. So this could be a little bit chaotic, but again, mid completely undefended right now. We're gonna see. There we go, Petra.
Oh, Petra!
It's Petra's mid once again.
Yes. Get out of my mid and onto the B site. Oh, this is Petra literally in their element. They're going to be able to make the plant here. Well, Felipe is around the side right now. Exet on the offensive. Push have got the advantage in numbers. Now they've made the plant, so they are committed to the B site.
Yes, indeed, and the Ratty plays. Oh, Mimi, the headshot through Ness. She is tracked down by Ness, and there we go. Significant frags at the end. Exet getting their first round in on attack.
Very nicely done. And hey, I think we're starting to become Petra fans here as they've taken. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Breach, and I'm a big fan of Petra. I think it's a perfect place for a Breach to be. You've got all these, especially the corner coming into mid, where you can just do things that other agents can't do.
Yeah, and Petra. It's just so funny how on defense Petra held that like an absolute rock, and even on attack, it's like they just. We're so uncontested as well mid, but rightly so. Look, we're seeing now, Oxygen kind of react to that a bit. They are lurking around mid. They're choosing to start with a majority of their team kind of in that mid position, which means that they're going to have to be very reactive to whatever happens and wherever this push now comes from.
Nice pop across from Oxygen there with minimal equipment. They grab the first 2 kills. And now they can fall back to controlling the B site in its entirety, that they leave the A site completely undefended while doing so.
Yeah, but there's a lot of time that, the attackers have to use now in order to get all the way to A. And, you're already seeing here, Oxygen, they are themselves rotating. So a little bit of a time waste there to actually go for the full rotation. And I think Oxygen have got onto it very, very quickly.
It's a nice pickup from Mimi there. So the equipment advantage is, I believe, still in favour of the Xset squad. Petra's going to be going for the plant on the A site, it looks like. But you're right, Oxygen, they're closing in from multiple sides. Plant is going to be good. Azizo heads up into the skies. Oxygen prepping for the play.
Yep, and certainly they have the advantage of having more players alive. It's just how they choose to push this together. You see a little bit of some free fires coming through that line of sight. Smoke. Well, trades are coming through here and there, but mostly it is Oxygen getting those picks. And there we go, attackers winning. That was a really solid round from them.
Yeah, especially considering how, that could have easily gone really, really badly for them. The Petra and Zizo Tizo coming through clutch. Not as many kills as Ness has right now on the Oxygen side of things, but still getting the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from even the start of the game, Ness has just been very consistent. Showing up and getting those picks. Even in the early rounds. So again, I think this is interesting because it's like Oxygen's defense, for the most part, is very reliant on kind of waiting and being patient and seeing where that execute is coming from. But there are moments where they're just allowing Xset to get into the positioning a lot easier than they perhaps should be. I think it'd be interesting to see what would happen if Oxygen decided to overextend just a little bit.
I mean, that's something we haven't really been seeing. Like, yeah, as you said, they're playing much more passively, sitting back and waiting to see what Xset's play is going to be, rather than roaring out onto the map and trying to find the play themselves.
Yeah, and I often think if you're on defense, sometimes you can really really, like, being a little bit aggressive favors you way more on defense than it does on attack. You know, on attack, you have your step A, step B, step C of where you want to go and how you're going to approach it and what you need to do first and where you're going to take this, X, Y, Z. if a defender rather just suddenly appears out of nowhere like a little goblin and kills you, that throws such a spanner in the works. Honestly, it really does.
So we've got solid setup early on from Oxygen, though it's going to ultimately be to the advantage of Xset as they look to get their plant down. Crazy with the flank actually doesn't manage to finish off the job there, so we're left 2 versus 3. Xset, before they manage to salvage it, but this time round, Ness is here and up for a scrap.
Absolutely, but you know, Zizo very, very on the edge, and you can almost see the. Oh no!
That's around the corner, gets put down, and it will be Oxygen breaking that burgeoning winning streak there, and surviving with 2 members as well.
Ness like a little sneaky pawn, just gliding across the ice. Oh my goodness gracious me, you love to see it. Really good retake there by the defense. Really, really good.
Alright, so we can see the bank balances are pretty sparse, particularly from Oxygen's side. That may have been a win for them, but they have spent down to the bone to get themselves a full hand of Vandals for this round.
Yeah, and you know that this is the issue sometimes where you do, you know, lose a few rounds in a row, but you still want to maintain that momentum of getting the weapons that you need. It's tricky because it's like if you try and conserve the economy, you don't really want to hand them too many rounds just on the basis that you're being outgunned by Bella guns.
There.
Except they're making the move in through mid, so this has been one of the very few successful pushes in through there. It does mean that Oxygen are now going to be trying to flank around from every side. Philippa is keeping the B site locked down. For Except they've got the macro decision to make. Where do they go from here?
Where indeed, because again, there's this flank coming through by Oxygen. Well, I say that, but it's immediately...
There was.
Yeah, it was. But, you know, the flank clean up top a little bit here and balancing it out well. So 3v3, then a 2v2. Spike still needs to go down as well, and I think, you know, these players are trying to work out who should be the one to maybe go for it, to be honest, because... Well, there we go. The plant is going down in the default spot. Giuliano is going to get that down, but we're going to see a ton of utility come out here from the side of Oxygen.
Killjoy, though, is going to struggle to actually get onto the site. It feels like a lot of weight for this round is being put onto the shoulders of Ness on Arena. Giuliano turns away just as Ness comes in! Round the corner! And it's not going to work out. Gets the heal as well. Has no armor left. We don't see them to look 2 different directions at once, but they can't win out the fight against Nariel. Oxxgen Esports. That's 10 rounds for them. Perilously close to the first quarterfinal win.
That was a really good case of slow and steady wins the race. You know, they could have fluffed that if they rushed and they really tried to be like, oh my god, we need to get back, we need to kill them, we need to get the defuse down, and blah blah blah. That could have gone horribly, horribly badly. But no, we saw that really nice flank come through, and you know, a beautiful bit of a kind of very, I wouldn't say lazy pinch, but it was a very wide and open pinch, and yeah, really good defensive retake there by Oxygen.
Coming into the round, X-Set's now down to minimum equipment. See. For the X-Set squad, gonna have to work pretty darn hard here. Stacked up defense, Petra with the bomb carry. It looks like it will end up ultimately being 5 versus 2 if this play goes ahead.
I mean, Felipe's going to start things off, start this showdown on the way by taking from Mimi. Petra's going to fall to Giuliano, though, is going to try and trade that back immediately. Felipe is going to get a pick and then is also traded out herself. Oh. And there we go. That was a solid defense coming through from Oxygen. Nariel with the 3k as well.
Yeah, that was really, really nice cleanup at the end. I think for Xset, that was a little bit of a desperation play, but we're coming close to the end here again. Xset, they've got their equipment they need for the round. again, the full hand of Vandals. They will be ever so slightly ahead of Oxygen in terms of raw equipment value.
I mean, I'd say as well, like, it is getting obviously towards what could be the end, and that's a little bit risky biscuits, especially when this is your map pick. You know, this is Xset's map, and then we're gonna go to Ascent, which is Oxygen. So I don't know what they have up their sleeves for that, but if this game is anything to go by, it's a bit of a spooky one, I think, for Xset.
To at least get that first kill, so that's something. That's his last back to get up on high for Giuliano. Showstopper around the corner and gets rid of Ness. That's a huge takedown for Xset.
Absolutely,
Back
Xset.
to life though.
Well, anyway, Xset just absolutely played objective then. Nariel once again is going to clean up shop a little bit for her team, try and get this defense underway. Mimi, though, is going to trade it back by taking down Reaper.
Player standing.
Oh, it's a little bit risky biscuits now, as it is all left down to Philippa, and she's in a 1v3 situation. That Spike is not having any mercy at all, and there we go. Petra finishing off with a beautiful 3k for this round. Xset finishing this off with another dub in the sack.
Saw the health bar for Petra there at the end, almost dead. It does seem like for Xset, you said, in this first game of the quarterfinals, as best of 3, they have been leaning more and more on Petra to get the job done when it's required the most.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think, to be honest, like, I think Petra showed up so much in this map, definitely. So yeah, I'm low key kind of feeling like maybe personal MVP for the side of Xset, because just coming through with some of these players, and it is quite when she wants to show up, especially in earlier rounds, when she wants to show up, it is just so like, oh, okay, I see you. Yeah, definitely a player to watch, ladies and gentlemen.
Alright, so we've got a quick timeout while Oxygen and Xset ready themselves for the final set of plays. So it's Oxygen calling for the timeout this time round. As it honestly, you know, it's been very, very back and forth, but this does not feel like a game that's out of winnable by any means for Xset.
No, not at all. I genuinely think, you know, they're only really like 4 rounds behind. They could easily pull this back if they wanted to. I mean, obviously they want to, but it just depends how willing Oxygen are to let that happen, and I don't think they're willing to let that happen at all. So
in this round, Xset with the full equipment. For Oxygen, they've just got themselves the Sheriffs. So they have got good stopping power, though. As you see there, though, so a 6th sense there, shooting through the corner and grabbing the first kill.
Oh, we see a bit of a rotate of the Spike coming through too. The Spike is now in mid, and you know, but we can see a bit of a pinch come through potentially from Anissa and Philippa here if they want to try and pinch that and take down the Spike carrier, but I don't think it's quite going to come through. And again, it's interesting because Xset haven't really been able to go for a setup yet, but these players of Oxygen are so scattered right now that even if the Spike does go down, it's going to be very difficult to retake.
Nariel trying their darndest, but so far for Xset, it has been a clean round, as close as it's been. Racer dropped as well. This could, I mean, while this was an econ round, oh, there we go. The clean sheet has been broken by Philippa. It's a solid way back into the game for Xset. Giuliano cleans up, but it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close.
Absolutely. I mean, again, the Xset getting another round in the bag, and this could have been way worse for them, and they're really pulling it back now, and this could get evened up very quickly. And again, I'm wondering if there's a little bit of risk here where perhaps Oxygen are a little too spread thin at times.
No, I do agree. It felt like they didn't have the same level of focus that we've seen from them in previous rounds. I guess, you know, just being on the defenders, they have so far been, you know, trying to play as reactively as they can, but they're always going to be one step behind a coordinated squad.
absolutely. It looks like they're trying to push B from mid, and we see that long flank come through as well from Giuliano.
Petra is here, of course. The owner and proprietor of the mid. You don't want to mess with them anytime soon. But both teams actually not committing in fully for the plays. Giuliano is going to be able to pick up a kill, I think. Yes! Razor steps right in, and with that, that means the B site is ready for the taking. Exit. They're charging in. Zizo does drop down, though, as Retha gets taken out from above. This looks like it's Exet, but Oxygen, they're not backing down.
Spike planted.
No, not at all. And again, you know, Ness has finally rotated, but I do think that rotate came in way, way too late. The spike is down, but she really needs to put some work in now. And again, it's this idea of slow and steady wins the race. We've seen Oxygen clutch out these situations through pure patience, just allowing that gunfight to almost come to them. And Giuliano, speaking of gunfight, she's going to take the gunfight to Felipe. Mimi is going to take down Nariel, and it's left all down to Ness, essentially, in a 1v4 situation. Maybe a tactical timeout.
I think when you're carrying an operator as well, you've got to say, is it worth it? I mean, this is a character, you know, an agent who could conceivably go for the 1v4, but you are gambling with some pretty heavy creds.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think then it was what must have happened. It was, I'm not sure if it was like a lack of intel and like a kind of lack of the call to kind of be like, you need to rotate to B. But I think it should have in theory become pretty obvious that there wasn't any push coming, you know, towards the A site. And I think even at one point, you know, Felipe was very much in a position where she could have easily fed that information, like, yeah, they're not pushing here at all, and like borderline moving towards their spawn at this point. And I think that the rotation should have come through for like 30 seconds earlier than it actually did. And well, Ness is actually going to make up for it by getting that beautiful pick there onto Giuliano. We do love a little bit of revenge like that.
And coming in is Retha from behind for Oxygen, looking to catch the Exet team in a trap. Razor gets one, he trades it back. Crazy does have the angle up into heaven, and they'll trade across. Ness with their second kill. Ultimate deadliness, grab the third as well, and there's nothing that stands in the way of the Reyna.
Oh yeah, fair play. Ness absolutely made up for that late rotate there. Like, that was, yeah, some spicy shots coming through there. Glorious, you do love to see it. And again, you know, Oxygen have essentially pushed this to match point. Alright,
so Exet seem to be on a path to a comeback, but sorry, if Exet seems to be on the path to the comeback, but Oxygen have shut that down pretty convincingly. 5 Vandals coming to the round. Ness maintains position on operator duty. I love, on a character who doesn't have, you know, the built-in mobility, how mobile Ness was in that previous round to be exactly where they need to be every single time.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, opening pick going in favour of Oxygen is certainly going to benefit them. I think it certainly sets the momentum for them 9 times out of 10. Will say the Exit, it's kind of like they're still working out where they want this spike to go. It looks like they're going for an A. Well, as soon as I say it, they immediately change their minds yet again. This is what I mean. It feels like there's a lot of thinking here, a lot of kind of scattered thinking, like where should we push? And it looks like they're going to walk into a free stack on B. And yes, there's Petra once again lurking around the midway, but it could be very, very dangerous.
Ness is just not a player you want to try and mess with. At least the res is there to keep Exet in the game. We can see that Petra already down pretty low. It seems to be that the call is we keep going for the B site, even with all the defense we've gone across so far.
And this is it, you see, so they push their ways out of that explosive mess that is being thrown at them, to be honest. And there we go, Oxygen cleaning it up shop, but Zizo isn't going down without a fight. She can get the plant down. She's made herself a little bit of a barrier here. It's going to be very difficult to find her head, and there we go, Zizo picks off one of them. She gets two!
No
Exet winning another round there. What a beautiful clutch out by Zizo there.
That is ridiculous! They knew exactly where she was! They knew exactly what she was doing, but somehow she keeps her team alive. Exet, they're still fighting here despite everything.
Despite everything being the main point of that absolutely looked like it was going in favor of Oxygen. I think even Oxygen were like, yeah, we got it in the bag, and yeah, no, Filippo, sorry, Azizo wasn't having any of that.
So back into things with Exet, the ones now having the equipment advantage. We do see the stack up as expected. Crazy grabs 2 before falling down, which means a site plant should be good. As Oxygen, they're close to getting put back on as Razor catches Giuliano, blocks them from the sky, and this is looking like for Oxygen.
One enemy remaining.
A lot closer of a round than we maybe would have expected.
Zizo once again coming through with that final 3k. Oh my goodness gracious. Putting in absolute work here to claw back the rounds in favor of her team. The pressure's really on for Oxygen now, because if Exit get one more round in the bag, that's even Steven's match point, and that is a very, very stressful situation to be in.
Oxygen do have enough money to get Ness back on full equipment, though, and we've seen how incredibly deadly that can be. Both teams with an ultimate apiece, but Ness is ready to go into Empress form and blow the game up. This is must win for Oxxgen Esports to avoid getting it into that tiebreaker situation.
Oh, absolutely. Again, I think this is the round where both teams are going to just be going absolutely ham. And it's terrifying to think, and there we go, Rain is going to start this off, but Crazy and Zizo are going to pick off 2 members of Oxygen, putting this very much in their favor here. A 4v3 situation, utility going down on site. The plant can go down if it gets there in time. I am concerned that the spike wasn't there for that utility to be used, but maybe it was a little bit of a wiggle timing.
Your duty is not over.
And there we go, the res is coming through Counterfeit.
Yeah, I mean that's it from Exet, isn't it? They just can't hold anything back at this point. They have to win this round to see any more parts of this first game of our best of 3 quarterfinals. 2 incredible teams giving absolutely everything. Oxygen, they're down to 3, but Ness is still here.
Ness is, but you know, Petra ready and waiting. We've seen Petra absolutely pop off this game, and you know, very much capable of doing so. Reefer though is going to actually shut down Petra, so perhaps not this time. But oh my goodness gracious me! Reefer with the 2k. Zizo and Giuliano trading it back though. The diffuse is going down. Oh!
Zizo Tizo, he came through clutch for the team before, and no, the defuse. It was a matter of a microsecond. Oxxgen Esports steal out round number 13.